Okay, officially open the meeting. I think I've introduced myself to most of you. Those who don't know me, my name's Councillor Tucker. I'll be chairing the meeting this evening. If I haven't introduced myself, I apologise. Happy to speak to you after the meeting. If any members or officers in physical attendance with an electronic device, if you can please mute it because it does affect the recordings. If you can all do that now, that'd be much appreciated. With remote participants, please keep their camera and microphone off unless they wish to speak, as this can affect the quality of the meeting. This meeting is being live webcast and the recording stays on the council's website. So I'd like to welcome everyone to this evening's hybrid Sheppey Area Committee meeting, including anyone attending remotely. The following Swale Borough Council officers are in attendance. To my right, Director of Regeneration and Neighbourhoods, Emma Wiggins. To my immediate left, Policy and Engagement Officer, Janet Dart. First person to my left is Community Safety Manager, Steph Curtis. And on the far of my left, Safer Streets Project Officer, Michelle Anderson. I'd also like to welcome Ray Featherstone, MBE from Sheppey County Youth Club, who will be giving a presentation later on in the meeting. Also, the following KCC councillors are here: Mike Whiting. In regards to parish councillors, I think I've seen a few. I've seen someone here from parish councils that I've missed. Linda, hi. Please, you. Mike. Sorry, I've got Mike. I've got Linda at the back. Who else? Sorry, was that? Thank you, Chris. Chris Reed. Thank you, Sue. Got Steve Park here from Minster. Thank you. Is Paul Day here? Based out? No, haven't seen him. That's not him. No. Okay, we've got someone on the line that says Clark. Can you please identify yourself?
Hi, I'm Sarah Paul from East Church Parish Council. I'm the clerk for them.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, emergency evacuation procedure. Quite simple. Through the door you've just come through, guys and ladies. Please be aware of evacuation procedures. Following the event of an emergency, there is no scheduled test of the fire alarm during this meeting. If the alarm does sound, please leave the building quickly without collecting any of your possessions via the fire exits and assemble outside as directed. Await instructions before re-entering the building. Should anyone require assistance in evacuating the building, please make an SBC council officer aware of any special needs so suitable arrangements may be made. I know there's many. Thank you. Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. Okay.
Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Andy Booth and Councillor Leanne Moore. I haven't seen Councillor Worcester as yet. I think she's expected.
Item 3, any declarations of interest from councillors on this committee, please? Thank you. Item 4, the minutes of last meeting. Do members agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 5th of December? I think that should say 23. So we do that. Minute numbers 485 to 495. That's a correct record. Those that were in attendance, everyone agree? Yeah. Perfect, thank you. Item 5, Sheppey County Youth Club. I'd like to introduce Ray Featherstone, MBE. What's over there a moment ago? This is still there. He will give a presentation on the work of Sheppey County Youth Club. Raymond, over to you, please.
Right, it'll be a very short one because I know you've got a lot of important things to talk about tonight, and I agree with you. Can't use this because I have to use this card, so I'm not good at this. You go to meetings and they never work properly. So, yeah. What I really want to say, the island gets knocked quite a lot in national newspapers, and I think we all should celebrate good things. All right, so I'm going to write one of my rules. Self-praise is no recommendation. We've got the best youth club in Kent on the Isle of Sheppey.
Yeah.
And Kent County Council told me that, so it's not my words. And we bought it up for Kent County Council when they closed the youth service. We're not doing brilliantly well because we can't open all the week. But at least we have got a youth centre. And I want to thank the politicians actually, KGC and locally, that helped us get that. Because they did obviously recognise that we have a good track record. They're going to do it. So I think when we get all these nasty remarks about the Sheppey that I don't recognise from an article, I think it's good for us to stay out and say good we are. And there are a lot of good organisations like us on the Isle of Sheppey. So each one of them should be shouting. I brought along, Mark has told me that I've only got 5 minutes. So what I've done is I've brought some doggy bags from the councillors with all the information I'd like to say, but I couldn't do it in 5 minutes. So I'll leave that with you, Mark, and then maybe you can give them out later.
Yeah, I might take you there. Thanks very much. Thanks, buddy.
One of the interesting things is, you know, we are now dealing in this country, lucky enough, not too much in the island, with knife crime. Now, I've been a youth worker for 64 years, right? And I've seen more cuts than A&E in the service. But knife crime is becoming a very big thing in the country, which we've got to fight. But I can take you back to the 60s, when the mods and rockers used to go down to Margate for a punch up on the bank holiday, right? And the police used to disarm them. Now they used to disarm them, used to take their shoelaces away because they used to go down with these Dr. Martens. These are mine, by the way. I've never kicked anyone. But when they got up to Margate, they take all their shoelaces off. And of course, you can't kick anyone then. So that is the way we used to do it. I'm afraid these days it's a bit more difficult disarming people who've got a knife, but that's what the police used to do in those days. One of the things I want to say is that what is difficult these days is that a lot of people around that grab a very small amount of money. And I don't mind that happening, but the thing is, if you don't shout loud enough, suddenly people like me just, oh, well, he's just going to money you up, you know. But of course, we all need money, and I want to thank today Councillor Tucker, Peter Neal, Mike Whiting, they've all given me a little bit of their budget to help me with a few bits and pieces for the club. And they're mainly things for young people to do entertainment. That's the stage, we're going to do chess, we've got 1 or 2 other night things, and they're little bits of budget will help us quite a lot. So we're always grateful for little bits and pieces so we can keep going. For the next 10 years, I've got to worry about the fact that this June I'm 80. I literally to Kerry Spurling, who was one of my leaders in charge with Lee Goodyear. And really, when people say, what happens, Ray, when you go? That's what's going to happen when I go. These 2 people, and Kerry's coming on tonight just to see what it's all about, because I couldn't bring young people along because it's half term last week. And I'm not going to bring them into a situation where I briefed them and made them feel confident. So I brought Kerry along so that Kerry can see what it's like, because one day Kerry has to stand here and do what I'm doing. So I wish you well with the meeting. I'm not going to take much time. I just want to say one more thing. I know you won't be able to see it very well, but there's sometimes a confusion about youth work and other projects. What you've got primary education and you've got secondary education. And both of those are connected with what we call formal education. Below that, you've got youth services, which are dealt with social education. So when we're talking about safer streets, what we're talking about, no good putting the young people in a youth club if you don't do anything with them. You only take them off the street for 3 hours or whatever. When you're working with them, build up their self-esteem, make them feel confident. They don't need to go and do anything. They don't need to impress a gang leader because they already feel confident. And that's the work we must do in our youth centres. On Wednesday night, we get some of the more difficult young people you've seen in Sheppey. And the work we do with them, not intensive, but we give them a good activities, give them a good night, let them have fun, but always work them, right? One of the things in the youth service, they've always said, when you say to a politician, I do this, I do that, they say, prove it. Well, we've had young people that come to our junior club. They've gone to senior club. They've gone on the members committee. They then train to be a senior helper, called a senior member of training, and finally they become a member of SOC, right? One of those people is your chairman tonight, Mark Tucker. I'll rest my case.
You're the one responsible, Ray. Thank you very much. First one, as you said, is nearly 80, so we want to get back home, and there might have been some young people coming tonight, so that's why I put Ray in first. Is there any questions immediately that you want to ask Ray? Chris?
Had a phone call today from somebody called Matthew Knight. He may have rung some others. I know he's talked to Paul Murray. It's an organisation that with youth who are having alcoholic problems, which is leading to antisocial behaviour. And he wanted me to ask if there are any people here who know anything about that, because I said, you know, I don't know all that much about it. I recommended he rings up Ray.
Yes.
He's already talked to Paul, he's talked to Ali, then he talked to Ali, the police lady. It's just, if there's any others of you who are interested in that, I can put you in touch with Matthew. It's to see whether we think we need more of that on the island. I think that what he was doing fizzled out a bit. And it's to see, it's something to do with Swallowborough Council. Anyway, so that's all.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. I did email all the councillors on this committee. If you have got any of your budget left, the members grant, I know a lot of you haven't, which I think has got to be spent in the next week or so, I believe. So if anyone's got any £50 or £100 left, I'm sure Ray would gladly take anything left from your balance, councillors. And there's packs on the back here if you want to grab one before you go back. Thank you very much. The next item, I'm going to use my powers as chair to bring item 13 forward, the public forum. If all the councillors, this committee agree, we've got an extremely high turnout of our amazing public here tonight. I don't want to sit here till 9 o'clock at night because they're all here passionately to talk about various things. So just a quick show of hands, unless anyone has a real strong now.
Great.
Agree? Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so we're now going to agenda item 13, which is the public forum. In no particular, I know, Ms. Ward, you want to speak first? Is that okay? Thank you.
So I'm a cook at Little Oyster Cafe. And I see pensioners, I see people from off the island coming into the cafe every single day. They stay for hours. £1.40 for a cup of tea. If this goes ahead, £1.40 an hour in that car park, those people are not coming. Okay. I've got a petition up. I've got 500 signatures so far. So this is my question. Can Swallowborough Council justify charging £1.40 an hour for the car park at Little Oyster? Number one, parents taking their children to the beach for a cheap day out. Number two, owners of beach huts wanting to spend a few hours in their huts that they have paid for. Number three, families visiting their memorial benches to sit and talk to their loved ones they have lost. Number four, pensioners just wanting to come for a cuppa at the seaside and chat to others rather than sitting in their houses. Walkers, runners, dog walkers, the government want us all to get healthy. Most can't afford a gym. And number six, lastly, the volunteers that are cleaning your beaches for you. How can you justify charging all these people just because they want to be beside the seaside? Yeah.
Thank you very much. I believe Chris, you want to speak next?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Want to just come to the fore? I want to put their name.
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Chris. I'm from the Isle of Sheppey Sailing Club. Met a couple of you before. But very similar note, obviously, but with the Ship and Shore car park down opposite the Ship and Shore park. So my colleague Elaine and I, we're the Commodore and Vice Commodore of the sailing club. Now the sailing club obviously does sailing. It's not only racing for members. We're training youth. We're training. We even in the past have run college groups, disability groups, even Kill Project from the club. We also have seen fun matters going under the bridge, and also we have national, international events coming to the island multiple times a year, all of which is based around the use of the Ship and Shore car park. Now, let's pull it back to just our members. At least twice a week, they're at the club all day, and obviously, I think a daily rate was about £6.60, was it, or £6.30, something like that. We're getting a lot of feedback now. Let's take you all the way back to 1984. I think there was a huge argument between the Isle of Sheppey, or sorry, back then the Sheppey Yacht Club, and the local residents, because members of the yacht club then were parking in the side streets, etc., free parking. And I think it was Councillor Grover back then. I'm digging into my mind of letters and names. I think he promoted the fact that the club should be using the free available car park down the road, which we promote to all our members as well to do. Now, I'm going to put you into a circumstance of Island Race morning, anywhere between, top figures, 300 boats back in the day.
Well, back in the
Yeah, 300 boats turning up. That means 300 trailers. That means 600 people. That all needs to pile in somewhere. I've got some wonderful photos if you want of that car park overflowing. We've had near miss accidents with the road. We've had all sorts with that. So purely very similar note to just sort of say those car parking prices, being a Swale Borough Council owned building that we lease and we're trying to do something for the community, it's just going to crush us. It literally lose our membership overnight, really. And not only that, I think to try and avoid any residential arguments going forward, I think it would be silly to do that. So I think that parking prices need to be reviewed most definitely, or at least a way around it. I don't know, but I am in support, obviously, of clearing out whatever vehicle and maintaining it slightly more.
So I spoke to you earlier on, Chris, sorry. So you're saying about you'd be happy with like a permit for members. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. For trying to look at us as a sailing club. I'm here for the sailing club tonight. Yes, most definitely. And obviously, I can give the dates of the events when we're going to have an event, and that might be something that we can talk about as well. But going forward, I don't think we're going to be able to justify £6 a day or whatever it is, bearing in mind, like I say, most of those members are there 2 days a week, if not in the summer, 4 or 5 days a week, and kill the sailing.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much. I've got Mr. and Mrs. Walton next. Is that you guys?
That's us.
Did you want to speak? No, okay. Mr. King, sorry. Yes?
It's going to be exactly the same in Queenborough. It would be up there. People are coming there to spend their time and be part of something. They're just going to meet.
Okay. So that's echoed what? Sorry, you just echoed what Chris has said, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Just 2 seconds. There's people coming. I've got you there. 2 seconds. Are you going to say anything else that already hasn't been said?
All
Anything else you want to add?
I wanted to bring up was, I thought the council was going to be here for this. I just want to know why they've left it so long and they still haven't done anything about the parking on the lead, which is free parking for anybody. Where, as you say, you go down the coast to Herne Bay, Whitstable, you pay down there, you all come to the Isle of Sheppey because it's free. But the council lost over the years so much money. I'd like to know how much they've actually lost in revenue, but they haven't sort of claimed up anything off that from the leads up there. And the second point is, I've got a wife and a son who train the kids to swim at Sheppey swimming pool, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays. They get no privilege of parking in the sports complex there. So they have to pay, being voluntary as well, to pay to park, to go into the swimming pool, to teach all our young kids how to swim. Which I think is like.
So Tim, would you be saying you agree with the parking, but some sort of permit if you're associated with the club? Is that
I don't agree with the part. I mean, I'm against paying for parking. You know, if you're a local, you should be exemplary. You know, holiday makers, yes, my win. But locals, us lot, you shouldn't have to pay. No, you shouldn't.
Thank you very much. The lady's hand, sorry, thanks from the back there, lady there. Thank you.
Stay there, aye.
Yes, by all means, that's fine. I'm sure we're here.
Sorry. Okay. I'm a resident of Greenborough High Street, and as such, it's not going to affect me, the proposal that KCC are putting forward. But over the last few years, there has been an increase of double yellow lines painted in Greenborough, and I've seen the increase. And some of the double yellow lines are absolutely ludicrous. Down one road, which is the road that you go down to go into the big car park at the library, they painted double yellow lines up against the vegetation. They then painted double yellow lines about 10 feet in front of that, in front of the garages, 7 garages there. But that means that I'm driving over double yellow lines to go into the garage, which I've been told is illegal. So we've seen an increase in double yellow lines in Queen. So we're restricted from these extra double yellow lines. I've got a blue badge. I'm, yes, lucky in some senses, unlucky in a lot of others. I even get a parking ticket because I'm going out 3 hours. And I've got double yellow lines outside my house now. You know, it's absolutely crazy. But I think this is just one step in a step that KCC are going to be taking, in that they will eventually, people will not go and pay to go into Castle Connections, where there's a lot of groups going there, providing lots of amazing services. Again, like over at Leicester, they have, at the little Oyster, they have people going, the cafe, sit and talk. And believe me, there's a bereavement cafe also at Castle Connections, which I've had to make use of myself. And people won't pay to go in for something that's been free for so long. And Queenborough is a free borough. We have a law charter. So what is County Council playing at? A free borough means a free borough. They've taken a lot more away. It was, I think it was.
It's Swalbrook Council, don't you mean? Swalbrook.
It's not KPC.
We know, okay, carry on, fine. That's okay, don't worry. Fine. No problem at all.
Yeah, so, Swallow Council's taking enough of the art, especially from Queenborough. Let alone now they're taking our free parking away, which they have no right to take away. And what will happen is people will not go to Queenborough Library for the books. They will say, I'm not paying. Then as far as Swallow Council is concerned, then they will say, oh, it's being underused. We'll close the library. You know, and that's what is happening. Yeah, and everything that's closed down, and they will be closing down everything by these ridiculous proposals for these double yellow, these paying for free parking. People can't wait for the government. So why are we being penalised for living where we are when we have the right to park freely?
Thank you very much indeed.
I live in Queenborough, and I live on the High Street, well, not High Street, Main Road, right? If you shut the car parks, I can guarantee you, they will block up every single street there is.
Yeah, that's true.
They will be double parked.
What you mean is if we put parking on the charges,
You
people
put
park.
the charges on the car parks, they will be double, where I am at the bridge at the moment, right, they park on the bridge, yeah? They come round that bridge, we've had two wrong crashes there, right, because they're parking for the station, because the car parks are full.
Is that outside the car from where the post office?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I live right opposite the post office and the co-op, right? I've got double yellow lines outside my house, they weren't there when I first moved there, right? But they park on them anyway. Right, they've got a loading bay there now, outside the co-op. Used to be able to park in the evenings, can't park there at all because they put a time restriction on it. They said they were going to do it from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening. Never happened. What is Swale Borough Council doing? Are they trying to choke the people on this island so they can pay for Sittingbourne and Faversham? It takes some money, right? And it puts its money back into it. The people on here, I know most of these people here, they've probably seen me floating about, doing whatever. But they put their money back into the island, right? Swale Borough Council just take the money out of this island and it's paid for Sittingbourne and paid for Faversham. Why are they paying for that? We are an island that's lost most of our industry. Most of our young people ain't got nowhere to go. Yeah. And then all of a sudden now they want to charge us to pay for their mistakes, for their £6.4 million that they're in deficit for.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I got your hand, but you've already said, no, let's finish someone else in first. Lady, yes, it was you, that's right, sorry, I lost you, thank you. Sorry, lady in the front here, sorry, yeah,
I'm a senior citizen. I like to
you're
walk.
not.
I like to walk. I like to keep fit. I live at the bottom of Scottles Road, so I cannot walk to the Leeds. I like to walk the length of the Leeds, the beach huts down to the White House. I'm older, so I'm going to have to put 2 hours of parking in to do that. Maybe if I'm a bit weary, even 3, because I might need to sit down. I also use the Castle Connections, sadly, for the bereavement session. I know about that. I also have lovely meals there. The meals are really, really a good price. They're going to go up with my 2 hours of parking up to near enough £10. I'm a pensioner. I need to get out. I don't like being at home alone at the moment. Please have some consideration for the senior citizens.
Thank you very much.
Besides that is the hot yard, where there is a centre for adults with learning difficulties who are often dropped off. Well, if they can't park in the car park because they can't pay or there's an issue there, then they've got to stay on double yellow lines. That seems ridiculous to me. Coimbra is the most incredible place. The community is wonderful. Castle Connections is a charity, and what we're really talking about is making a charity in a position where no one will be visiting there. So that will lose. We have a historic building there that was a school with amazing facilities inside. It will shrivel and die. In Coimbra itself, the businesses that depend on people coming there, they're just going to die. Plus, I don't know if there is anyone here representing the pubs and the eateries in Coimbra today, but if you've got to go and pay £7.10 to spend a few hours having a meal and not want to rush off, people aren't going to go there anymore. It's another meal. You know, there is so much going on in Coimbra, the yacht club, as I mentioned before, and it's just going to kill the community. The community will go. If people are going to the side streets to park if they're going into London using the Queenborough railway station and they're going at 7:30 in the morning, coming up at 7 at night. What do the people do that live there? There are people that have got 2 cars in their household, but I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that's the norm, actually. And the people in Castle Street, for example, where parking is extremely tight, will use that car park overnight. So are we really saying that those people have got to pay an extra £7.10 every day? But is that, it feels like a stealth tax that's being put on people. We've got a magnificent church. People won't park to go in there because there'll be other people taking up those places. I would also say, I'm very worried about the people on this island that have very little. Economically, we should be doing everything we can to encourage people to come here and spend so that the economy can stay afloat.
Yeah.
It's dying, but that's another thing. I really feel, you know, we've got families here that have got very little. And if they can't get to the beach to take their children out, if they can't go and find shark teeth like they do at the bottom of the knees, you know, all these things that are costing them nothing, suddenly they're going to be sitting inside doing this or just watching a screen. That's not what we should be doing.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Simon, in Queenborough, we own Bosun's tea room on the corner. And I was also a trustee of Castle Connections for some time. Castle Connections next library will suffer. They had volunteers up there. It's going to cost them £7 to work there for 4 hours. Some of the staff, if they do a 4-hour shift, the amount they pay is a minimum wage. It could be 25% of their salary gone just for one shift. And Queenborough Ward is one of the most deprived areas in the country, as we know. But unlike other towns, there is only a handful of businesses in Queenborough. There's where we are, the Park Road car park, it's basically Dutchman and us. And in 3 days, I've not been quite as good as the Oyster Card, but we got 140 signatures just in 2 days for people against it. And I've given that to Councillor Whiting to give in. And as a business, we've had to deal with COVID, energy prices, cost of living crisis, recession now, and now parking charges. And the park charges at least a preventable financial burden for businesses. Houses around Queenborough are generally small terraced houses, and their frontage in some instances is less than an average car park space. That means that there's a shortage of car park spaces before you even start. And as you said, most houses have 2 cars because there is no public transport on the island. We might have a train station, but it's hit and miss where it's actually running. And if you want to get to work, you know, you need a car. People do want to work. So council have put a lot into the Queenborough regeneration scheme with the Klondike and everything else when I used to be a councillor. But we're gonna fail before we even started. We've not even started building, and we're gonna stop developers wanting to develop. And finally, the beach is a natural resource that we are blessed to have, and it should be freely available to those who wish to use it. We have many visitors who come just to see our magnificent sunsets. They're not going to pay £3 to stay there and take a picture of the sunsets now. It's ridiculous. And I know Swell is suffering financially. It's got a massive deficit. But we all have to own up to our mistakes. There was a massive reserve that's gone. And, you know, we've got to own up to our own mistakes. You can't just blame all and sundry for spending everything. We are planning appeals against legal advice, which have picked up hundreds of thousands of pounds of costs. Some councils have actually claimed that back from their accountants for negligence. Have we thought about that rather than putting the charges on us to pay for their mistakes?
Which one? time. However, again, I'm going to use my power as chair unless anyone else, councillors on this committee, have got a problem. I'm going to extend it for at least another 10 minutes. Is anyone who opposes that? I support that already to her. Thank you. So, on the back, just about lady here. Oh, sorry, Linda. Okay, thank you, Linda. Want to come to the front? Go on then.
I'm taking Kent. And for a long time, we have been trying to get a railway car park. And every time, because a lot of the problems that people at Castle Connections are having is because people park their cars there to go to the railway station. And they go to London, railway station. Now, if we could reduce it, if only we could somehow work with the railway people, because he used to belong to a German company called Schenker or something like that. Now, I don't think it belongs to the German company anymore. I think it belongs to South Eastern. And it needs somebody in authority to talk to South Eastern and say, look, can we have that area? I know they use it for repair the railways, but they don't use the whole section. I am sure that if we thought about it, there's enough room for 20, 30 cars there. That would relieve some of the car parking problem at Castle Connection. Because I too go to Castle Connections and it is wonderful. And you know, you see the old people there having their meals and that's wonderful. They do need to be able to get there freely. The other thing is the buses at the Queenborough and the Rushington finish about 3:30. Before that, there aren't any buses in the afternoon. There aren't any buses in the evening. So that's something. You've got your bus group. Please, can you do something about the people of Queenborough and Rushington so that at least they can go to the shops in the evening? And the other thing is, we'd like to get back to half-hourly services on the railway. More people using the railway would be brilliant. Because it's a good service for students. It's a good service to Sittingbourne because you can't get easily now by bus to Maidstone because you've got to get off and go on X number, whatever it is. So I think we need to be pressurising the various authorities to increase the number of trains and increase the number of buses.
Thank you, Linda. I'm sure the 3 Queenborough councillors will make a note of that and I will get back to you. Thank you very much. Right, thank you. Anyone else like to say anything at this point? Yes, sir. Sorry, I didn't catch your name earlier.
Good evening, my name's Ray Butcher and I'm chairman of the trustees at Castle Connections. First of all the wonderful comments is very pleasing to my heart. We think we do a good job down there to promote the centre and supply quality services for the people of Queenborough. We worked hard since COVID to build this place up. We spent lots of hours there, spent lots of money to improve it.
It's not just Greenborough people. I'm not from Greenborough.
No.
Lots of people come from.
People come from all over the island, come to us, lots of people. It's another reason why we need the car park. I agree, and I was going to say it myself, the train station's got land there, there's enough land there for 100 cars there, if that was made into a car park. Like, it's never been done. Like, it should have been done years ago. Again, buses, there's no buses. People are using their cars more and more and more. And all the council are doing is penalising people for using their cars. All right, they don't help them with buses, so they can't use them. They've done away with all the funding for buses, and now you're trying to take away the car parks. Yes, we do have a charter, and I can't see how the council is going to get around it. I expect they've got their legal boffins, they're going to try and do something, right? But it will penalise us completely. As stated, all our staff use that car park. They're on 4-hour shifts. They're on minimum wage. They're not going to work. They're not going to work. We've got volunteers who come in, right? They're not going to want to work. We're going to lose them. We do meals, which was mentioned, all right? People are not going to come in for them. We get two days a week. We get people coming in for meals, all right? So for some of them, it's the only days they get out. They're stuck indoors on their own, right? And they come out there. They come out to the bereavement club. We've got Tai Chi. We've got lots and lots of clubs, and we're building up more, and we're getting more and more people. But they need that car park. If it's going to start charging for it, we're going to lose revenue. If we do that, being a non-profit charity, we could close. We don't want to, and we're trying hard not to, right? But we need that car park. We need one for people, the councillors to lobby the railway to open that up as a car park. We need to stay as free parking, right? Again, if you do charge it, the streets is going to be more and more rows. There will be lots of rows with residents and people parking their cars, and it's going to get ugly. People start damaging cars if they're parking in front of them. It's been done before, all right? They will. There will be lots of rows. Simple as that. For the council, they're supposed to be looking after our interests, all right, and doing the things that we would like them to do, all right? You're not. You're doing everything against us by doing this. You're not helping the OAP. You're not helping the children. The library will suffer, and again, stated it'll probably close down because it'd be underused, which was going to be the same for us. This is ludicrous, and not just my car park, all car parks. Personally, from what I've read in the paper, the council is losing money on car parks. It's one of the reasons why you're putting it out. But if you made them all free and didn't have to pay the outrageous charges that you pay to enforce the car parking, then you save money, surely.
Yeah.
Right? Car parks should be sign parking charges in centre. It's suffering. People parking all around the streets, people complaining there, all right? There's a Conservative club. I play cards up there once a week in a league, and the amount of people have said they don't want to pay car parking and that they're thinking of packing up because they've got to pay. You're destroying the town. With any parking, you're actually destroying it. So you should. Anywhere. Any car park, anywhere, with parking, you destroy it. We had a thriving seaside business on this island. The council destroyed it in the past, all right, by doing things against it. Like we said, we should be promoting this island and doing things to encourage people to come here. Simple as that. I agree with up on the Lees and up on the Shingle Bank, where people are parking all night, all week on end. Maybe you should do a charge up there, because that does get too much up there. But yes, but for the car parks, no.
Should be a reasonable charge.
Yeah, even just a reasonable, but even for car parks, no. You are killing this island, and you've got no. Seems to most people, you don't care about the island, and that is wrong for people to think of their councillors. We rely on you to do good for us. At the moment, everyone on this island thinks you're a waste of time. At the moment, so you don't. Yeah, you need to do something to get the faith back into councillors. So at the moment it's so low that it is just not worthwhile. But please go back and just tell them that these charges are going to kill everything.
Thank you. If there's a particular item that's not already been covered, I think, and I'll come back to you in a moment to ask that second question. I think it's quite evident what the residents of this lovely island are saying to us. I'm sure we could be here till midnight. We've saying, you know, and how strongly you feel, and I am getting it verbatim and things that are exacerbating all these problems. I get all those problems. They're all being documented. I can assure you, as chair of this committee, this island committee, I will take your comments tomorrow to the main full council meeting, to the leader. I will ask to speak on your behalf, and I will mention everything you said, probably in a lot shorter, because I get told off. But certainly air your views. And I think everything you said, we've got the petitions between Councillor White and myself, the Queen ones and the one that you put in the school. So unless there's anything else, I think we get the full picture, you guys, and it's fantastic you turn up. I'm happy to have a few more questions. 2 seconds, Matt. Simon, I've already gone to you first. Actually, can I come to you in a moment? Yes. You've already spoken before. Is that all right? I just want to give the gentleman at the back a chance, and I'll come back to the council in a moment. Was it Matt? Or was it you putting your finger up to Phil, Matt? Thank you, Phil.
Well, mine's pretty quick. Yeah, all I wanted to say is I do litter picking at the Leeds, and there are lots of people who come there from Chatham, Rochester, etc., to join in the regular monthly picks. We take something like 250 kilos of litter off of the Lees Beach once a month. If I've now got to pay, it cost me £5.60 to park in that car park there. I and many of the people from Medway Town that come and do it will seriously consider not doing it anymore, and that will leave an awful lot of litter on that beach, which is what you don't want right in front of all the beach huts.
Thank you, Bill.
Pretty much everything people have said, but particularly concerned that all these local groups and businesses are not being consulted until this stage. There's a House of Lords Bill 98 called Parking Places Variation of Charges Bill, which performs consultation to local groups and businesses, particularly in times of hardship, so during recession, etc. And it doesn't seem to have been acknowledged within this process at all. The other concern I have, and I've raised it beyond this, is that it's being told time and time again that this is to fill a gap in the council's budget. Now, the concern is you cannot take any charges from parking or from parking violations, excesses or whatever, and use it for anything other than transport within the general fund. So you can ring-fence it within the general fund, but you cannot spend it to bridge any shortfalls within the general fund itself. And that's within your parking policy, and it's quite well known. It doesn't seem to be acknowledged within the consultation. There is a piece, a High Court rule in 2013, EWHC 2089, which was the Queen and David that filled against Barnet Council. So the judgment's there. So there's no doubt about it. What's being said isn't true. And the last point is I've studied and I've looked today at the basically the accounts for parking. And my concern is that the biggest shortfall has arisen through on-street parking and the lack of enforcement off-street. There was a £50,000 deficit as against £14,000 surplus the previous year. And all of that has resulted through lack of PCNs through on-street parking and also losses through rents, licences and waivers, which I would assume is where there was income for testing centres on car parks and things during COVID. So I think the whole issue here is whether this new policy is in fact invalid.
Okay, I'll stop you there, Matt. I did speak to you before, fantastic, and I did say if you had something to a structural objective, which you've done. You sent all the details to Councillor Gibson, the leader of the council, yes, fantastic, and you're waiting for a reply from him, is that correct?
That's right.
So you've done so, okay. So you're happy with that he's going to come back to you?
Yeah, I'm happy. I just thought I'd raise the point so the councillors are aware.
Please bring it to your ward council if they don't, okay. I'm going to take, you, Simon, you want to speak, I've got this lady, she hasn't spoken. Go for it.
When you're voting on this tomorrow at full council,
yes,
can you have a recorded vote so we can see which councillors are voting for us and which ones are voting against us?
So recorded vote anyway for fine.
In Newington for 36 years, and when I retired, I went to my doctor and I put on an awful lot of weight. And my doctor said, I'm going to send you to Sheppey Matters. And they sent me to a gym. We also had a nutritionist. This was up at the hospital. You had everything you needed to try and lose the weight, which I did, and to try and get healthy. They said, you can go along there and you can find out lots of things you can do. You can go to the leisure book, or you can walk along the Lees with your Nordic walking sticks, and all sorts of things go on.
and you'll know more about it than I would, because Kent County Council, Swell Borough Council, Sheerness Council, all these different people are sort of partners to Sheppey Matters. And it's a wonderful charity. And they had Camilla there and the King not long ago, and it's a really good thing. And the people make friends. A lot of them are people who have been referred by a doctor, and a lot of them are people who have been bereaved, or they're on their own, they're lonely. They can go and have a cuppa afterwards. And it's just opened up so much for so many people. But when I heard about this, I thought back to before I came here. I used to live in Suffolk. The Baber District Council always had, in all their little towns and villages, welcome to Sudbury, welcome to Hadley, free parking. And, you know, I'd lived quite a few places, and I thought, free parking? What do they keep telling everybody that for? Well, when I came to Kent, which was where I was from originally, in Gillingham, I knew exactly, you know, what it meant. But what they've done there is, I went back there a few weeks ago because my son still lives there and his family. You go to a car park, you park your car, you go to the machine and you take a ticket. But the ticket you've applied for is a choice of different times. So you take your ticket and you go back to the car, put it on the car and go and do whatever it was. So if you've chosen to be an hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours, or 4 hours, then if you're not back by that time, and they go round and they check, that's when they you know, a bit of discipline. And they'll say, you weren't back at that time. So if you go to the council, you might get something knocked off. But otherwise, you're going to have a fine. So there's very few people in Sudbury who get fines anymore. They know just what to do. They know that they mean it when they say it, and everybody's happy. And you can always get parked. There's no parking down side roads. There's no problem. If you want to check it, you can look up, Google it.
Sudbury's a lot bigger than ours.
Pardon?
Sudbury's a lot bigger than Greenborough.
It's still the same thing can still work.
It's in the town.
I think we get your point. Thank you very much. We get your point, and absolutely get your point. Was that everything you wanted to
I
say?
just wanted to say, I also saw in the paper somewhere the other day, somebody wrote about £5.70 charge for parking in the Lees, if they did it. And he said, I only pay the maximum of £2 something for, I think it was 4 hours in Chatham.
Yeah. Someone came into the cafe.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Just one thing, we're not here to talk about our parking charges. We're here to say we want it free. Stay free.
On Facebook, we all know Facebook is dangerous because it can say all sorts of things. But one of the solutions that we're talking about was parking permits. Can I just say that we used to live in Gillingham, we live with a system of parking permits. It's £50 a year for the first car, the second car was slightly different. It's now gone through the roof, and to have anyone come and visit is £2 every time someone comes to visit you. Please, we don't want to go in that direction.
I think we get absolutely, I'll reiterate what you said a moment ago, unless there's anyone else that want to raise anything that's different than what we've already said. Yes, please.
All the comments they haven't mentioned by the council connections, the impact of charging would have on the businesses that front onto that car park, i.e. chip shop and all the other businesses, two restaurants there as well. It will kill the whole town. It's just going to die.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to bring this matter to an end. It's an agenda item. Thank you very much. You've got my word that I will raise it tomorrow at full council on behalf of all the residents here. Exactly what you've said. We've got everything recorded, what's been said. The council can listen to it, etc., etc. What I'm going to do, going to have a quick break. We're going to come back at 8 o'clock. So if anyone wants to nip off and don't sit here for the rest of the meeting, you can. So we haven't got no chairs going while we're trying to carry on the meeting. So please, thank you very much for attending. You've got assurance, you've got the petition, and we will raise it tomorrow night. Please wait for Councillor Lundy. I think she's doing a final round up. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We continue the meeting. Now, Michelle Anderson, the Safer Streets Projects Officer, and Steph Curtis, the Community Safety Manager, will give an update on the Safer Streets scheme. Over to you.
So
Sorry.
I'm going to start really quickly and then I'll hand you over to Michelle for the detail. I was just going to set the scene on what Safer Streets is. Some of you may have heard of it, but it's national funding from the Home Office that's about reducing crime and antisocial behaviour. The fifth round of funding is now in place. It's known as Safer Streets 5, and Swale was lucky enough to be invited to bid for a portion of the funding. We were successfully getting funding for two very specific areas, which were based upon levels of crime and antisocial behaviour. So Sheerness Town Centre and Sittingbourne Town Centre, we were lucky enough to get the funding for. For sort of this financial year, we've had around £154,000, and for the next financial year, we've got about £111,000. The aim of the funding is to put in place certain initiatives to tackle crime, antisocial behaviour, and also violence against women and girls. We have recruited a project manager, that is Michelle, who's going to talk you through what we've actually physically done. But it was an excellent opportunity to be able to bring in some extra money to the borough to deliver quite a few different things that we might not have been able to do otherwise, to try and make those areas safer. So over to Michelle.
Evening, everyone. So Safer Streets 5 funding. That's I'm Michelle Anderson. I've been working for the council now since the end of November, so I'm pretty new to the council. Brought in specifically to deal with the Safer Streets, so I do this for both Swale and for Folkestone Hythe Council, which allows me to look across both councils and see where we can have some shared learning, which is helpful too. But I'm actually employed by Swale. So in terms of the funding this year, the £154,000, we've had to spend it pretty quickly because I started off in November and need to spend it by March. So I was first came in to look at what interventions can be doing at the time. So some of the things that we've done, most of you may recognise this street. Anyone know? Clarence Road. That's what it looked like on the 29th of January. This is what it looks like today. So the idea of this and spending some funds on this is to open up that space, to make it lighter, brighter. There are some street lights down there actually, but they just couldn't penetrate through those leaves. It's quite a dark walk through, and that is a very used walk through. Island, I now live in Sittingbourne, so I know the areas very well. We've also installed some more lighting Beachfields area, and that was installed a few weeks ago. They are solar lights, and they are also motion detector lights as well. So as you walk in them, they shine brighter. The problem is at the moment, pretty dark days, they're not shining quite as bright as we'd like right now, but just bear with us. We heard from Ray today. We've also been helping to fund the County Youth Club out of the Safer Streets money. This is about engaging with the youth while they're still young. So we help to fund 2 sessions on a Thursday evening. 4 to 6, we do 8 to 12-year-olds, and then 6 to 8, we do 13 to 16-year-olds. So Safer Streets funding is paying for a person since October to interact. And actually, what they've done at the moment, they've had over 320 16 to 18-year-olds attend that since November. And what I've noticed is the last couple of weeks' attendance has actually risen by around 50% in the last few weeks. So it is getting a lot great. Next one, Hollyguard. This is something that wasn't originally in the plan, but something I brought over from Folkestone, which I thought was a fantastic app. We've never heard of it. This is specifically targeted at stopping and preventing violence against women and girls. So Hollyguard is an app that you can download on your phone. It is actually a free app if you want to use it freely, where it could link into your parents or wherever. You shake the app or you press a button a couple of times and it will alert your parents or your loved ones that you're in trouble. But if you pay for the app, it's usually around £80 per year, and you do the same thing. It links straight into a control room, which then can link straight into the police force. If that was activated, it would automatically voice record and video record exactly what your phone is seeing. If that actually happens, then the police are called to your direct location via this app. Now, the app is invisible on your phone. So what I've done is we've managed to buy 50 of these more advanced apps that link into the police force and control room. We've given it to 3 charities within Swale, New Leaf, Clarion and Satida, and they will be distributed to the most vulnerable women and girls that may not have the finances to actually have this app. So that's up a bit. We work with Sheppey Matters, and I know there's a lady who I think might have left now. Sheppey Matters, you probably all know who that is, but they do some great community work. So we're helping to, we're actually paying for somebody to work with the community. So the litter picking, the gardening projects, those kind of things, we're helping to fund that too under the Safer Streets funding. Obviously, this is not just Sheppey, this is Sittingbourne as well. So we also help to fund Sittingbourne Skate Park. We have 2 people there to engage with the youth there, to do a bit of outreaching work to try and bring them into that community too. Sheerness Library, this was causing some real problems. I think in November it was broken into. I think maybe they might have tried to set a light to it inside, and this is a real issue, I think, at the moment with the derelict building there. So we have, I know that's a bit of a rubbish photo, but that was taken at the beginning of December. We just get that shuttered up. We are going to put bars against it actually, and we're going to redo the fence out of the Safer Streets money to stop youths from getting in there and causing antisocial behaviour in there as well out from this money. And you may have seen.
Sorry, just 2 seconds. Sorry, if you ask Michelle do a presentation.
Ask me questions
Yeah, is that all right? No problem. That's fine.
Right. You may have seen these 2 handsome chaps. I think the one on the right-hand side, the younger one with the moustache, is your Sheerness guy. His name's Tyler, and the other chap is Kieran. So we've employed a company called TMS Protect to give us street marshals out during the school holidays. So they're out between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. 5 days a week, and that is funded by Safer Streets. It really is to stop the antisocial behaviour. It's about interacting. So last week in particular, I know that Tyler and Sheerness attended a break-in at Shoe Zone down Sheerness, and that did lead to arrest. Over Christmas holidays, there were some vandals vandalising the beach fields toilets. Again, he was right there on scene. They have links into the police force via radio. They wear body cams, and because of the footage that he caught on his body cam, again, that one led to an arrest. So all of this is just helping. It's just a step in the right direction. So they're the things that we've put in place so far from the Safer Streets funding. So what's coming up? So we're going to have the street marshals out again every single school holidays until March 25, and that will all be funded by Safer Streets. We're still going to continue with Sheppey Matters. We're still going to continue that community work. We think that's important. We're also going to put up a lot more CCTV in the area. So in terms of CCTV, I think this week or last week, we purchased 17 additional CCTV in Sheerness, swimming pool, Tesco's. We're going to put 3 at Holy Trinity Church. We're going to put some booster aerials in Sheerness as well, because some of the Swale Link radios, there's kind of some dead spots there. So if we can boost up that signal and get more shops involved in that, that would be really useful. And we're going to do lots more across Sittingbourne as well, but I guess you guys aren't bothered about that one. If you're that bothered, come and see me, and I'll talk you through them as well. This is a new initiative, and I'm really proud of this one. This one is bystander training. So I've arranged for 10 courses, free online courses, which is going to be trained by an ex-army, ex-police officer from Scotland who is renowned in his field for training. He's going to come on board and offer this free training for any member of the public. I have 500 spaces on this training. The first 3 courses are up. If you're interested, there's some posters down there. Take one, distribute it. It is now currently across Facebook on the Swale Borough Council and on LinkedIn as well. So you just scan QR code and book yourself in one of those courses. So it's all about how you, if you see a difficult situation that's happening, it's how you intervene in a safe and responsible way. Doesn't mean that you might have to intervene. It could be that you get someone else to intervene. It could be that you walk past and you accidentally drop a bit of litter, but just that distraction could make a real difference to somebody's. We're doing some schoolwork as well, so we want to work with Oasis Academy Year 7. There's 318 students in Oasis Academy at the moment. And if we can get in there in small groups, we're working with a company called Brogdale CRC from Iwade. And they actually help run the Road Featherstones County Youth Club as well, actually. So they have real good links in with Oasis at the moment. So if we can get in there, when you talk to the students about all sorts of things, it will be things like vaping, antisocial behaviour, how to build healthy relationships, how to be respectful, you know, trying to get in there whilst they're transitioning from primary up to secondary. So that would be quite important that would happen next year. We're going to get our Love It arborists out again. I only found out what an arborist was about 2 weeks ago, so I thought I'd use the word. So they're going to go and do some more tree cutting. We're going to do some crown lifts along Beach Street, that big row near the sand pit. Make sure that stands up a bit higher, so it's again lighter and brighter in that area. We're going to do Albany Park in Sittingbourne, St Margaret's Churchyard in Sittingbourne, and also Holy Park, or Pigeon Park, as I always called it as a kid, down there as well, and open that up. We're going to do continue with the funding next year for the County Youth Club. I think it's really, really important, and I'm a big fan of it. I went there when I was younger, and it had an impact on my life. So, and we're going to do some more lighting. So lighting again, Holy Trinity. So for me, I used to use that all the time as a walk through, and I still do now sometimes. Actually, it's really dark in there at night. So putting some lighting around there and Jeunesse will also help. Now you can ask me any questions.
So I didn't get your name earlier on when you spoke.
No, my name's Alfred Blockwell.
Alfred.
Right. Just a question. You're spending all that money on that library, having it all shuttered up and this, that, and the other. Why don't you turn it into a community centre or a youth centre?
I'd love to. If it was up to me, that's exactly what I'd probably do. I think it's a waste of time. I completely agree with you. But it's a council decision on what to do with that building. And at the moment, it's undecided. So in the meantime, what we're trying to do is secure it. And right now, that's the important thing.
Okay.
Yeah, just bring Emily on. Yeah.
Just quickly, and thank you for the question. The local council is looking at it as an asset that we own. It's currently a liability because of what's going on with it. And I think what we are doing as a council is looking at what opportunities there are for that building. It isn't easy because to make anything stack up in terms of what you have to invest to make it habitable, because it's not great in there, versus what costs there are to make it a centre or a community centre. It's absolutely viable. We need to work with the community to see what's the word's viable. I hate that word, but it's something that we need to look at, and whether or not there is the capital investment to do that. Certainly within the council, that's limited, but where we've got grants and other things that we can tap into or work with interested parties if there are them, although that's limited, because again, it's about how it stacks up as a business case. But we are looking at it because we would love to have a use for that building.
Can I just come back to you and just turn around and say, how much is our youth worth?
But then, yes, but certainly.
How much do they worth? That's, you know, I mean, they are the future of Sittingbourne. They are the future of where we are now. And we're not investing in them. We're just not doing anything for them. That's why they're going out destroying places, because they've got nothing else to do. Just looking around in their vaping corners outside the park in Queenborough, where I am. Right, I'm not being funny. We haven't got a youth centre. We did that. It's gone. Right. What's happening with the, you know, why can't, you know, this area or swale or whatever just turn around and say, like, we're going for our youth. We are actually going to invest in our younger people.
But some of the things I've just discussed, we're investing in our younger people, aren't I?
Huh?
Exactly some of the things I've just said.
You said that, but, I mean, that's money we've got to Sprout Council. They know.
I am Sprout Council.
Yeah, but it's only like, it's only money that you've managed to grab off of someone else for a grant.
Alfred, thank you for your comments.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but.
No, it's been noted. We've got lots to get through. And I love the passion, I really do. You're the most important people here, residents. You're the people that put us here and everything else, but we need to move on with the meeting. Is that okay?
Yeah.
But we take your point. Thank you very much. Was Councillor James, were you okay?
No, Mr.
Councillor Pointing, I think it was Councillor Worcester then. Councillor Harris. Councillor Pointing.
In the next 2 years, you're going to spend basically around £250,000 putting cameras up, sorting lighting out, chopping trees. Is there anything set up to work with the parents of these children? Of course, it was, because in my generation, I'm in my 40s, discipline started at home, punitive measures started at home, and there wasn't the kids running around smashing things, catapulting street lights, breaking people's windows. But now there seems to be this kids are acting with total impunity because they know that there's no recourse for anything. So there needs to be more engagement with the parents and the children that are known to be causing the problem, and we'll work for the parents to empower them to discipline their children in an effective manner. So they're not going out and roaming the streets, causing hassle and causing aggravation to everyone. Where's that factor in that £250,000 of public money?
I mean, the funding that we've got here is additional funding for additional work, but there's already quite a lot of work that's going on through sort of the policing, working in partnership with the council and other agencies. One of the key things, I spoke at the last area committee about the community safety partnership, which is a statutory partnership of which the Borough Council is on with these other agencies. And we've been looking at our work programme for the year and key priorities, and actually certainly young people is a flavour that's come through very, very strongly, including from this committee. So we are looking at what we can collectively do to support young people to look at behaviours. Certainly the extra sheerness youth programmes that we funded with this funding, although it is working with the young people directly, it is looking at behaviours, challenging any perceptions that they may have picked up at home through sort of domestic abuse or other issues that are going on in the household. So there is work going on. I totally agree there probably is more work that can be done, but it's certainly something that we're conscious of and we are looking at.
Thank you. I think it was Simon.
Quick question. The sake that I love what you're doing when you've got a grant clock, but folding up the library and putting radios on, sure that's the landlord's responsibility, not the use of the grant money which is spent on other things.
It's about stopping antisocial behaviour.
Yeah, but the landlords need to building derelict, you know, planning enforcement to get it sorted out. Why use grant money to do something else?
Yeah, and I think ultimately it's one of those locations that we know is a big hotspot and that young people are at risk because they're going into the building and doing installation.
If I had my shop and left the doors open and the wires hanging out, you get me to do it. I wouldn't, you know, you can't, you've got a nice bit of money to help save the streets and I'm using it to do building work. That's the landlord's responsibility, not your responsibility. You should be enforcing the landlord, whether it may be, whether it is Swell, KCC or Mr Smith in the High Street. It's up to them. Not, you're using grant money to buy another CCTV, to buy PCSO, to buy anything.
So I'm going to take that back. Mr. Councillor Whiting's nodding. It was KCC. I'm sure we'll take that back on behalf. Which is Swell.
It's a Swell bill.
Swell.
Yeah, Swell bill. I agree with Jim.
Thank you. Councillor Worcester was the next.
To draw this attention, so obviously this is great that Swell gets more funding, but I think when we're looking at the actual detail of how that works, I think we need to keep this in mind that we are looking at a slow sliding of moving police responsibility onto local council. Now, I want to pass on something that could go back to, say, her street warden, that his work with our local police officer, our neighbourhood police officer, that at the moment has to split herself in 8 different ways on a daily basis, said that his work is invaluable because actually she can't be in 8 different places in one go. So I think that's worth passing back to him, that he's doing an excellent job within his job role and his remit. But is general policing areas that are sliding into Swale Borough Council territory. After this funding runs out, which it will run out, it will be a matter of whether or not Swale Sea has deemed useful to give another bit of grant funding to, when this should come under general governance of policing. So the Kent Police need to take responsibility for the fact that they removed all of our PCSOs. They haven't replaced with the requisite amount of police officers that we've promised. And also, when we're talking about involvement with schools, both of our police officers have been into our secondary school on a regular basis. But Swale is one of the only areas, as far as I know, that do not have a police-centred team that other areas in Swale do have, in Kent do have. And that is unacceptable as a position. So I'm very grateful for the funding, but we have to keep in mind the bigger picture that this funding will run out, and we as a council should still be lobbying very hard, giving our residents what they've paid for already, which is a huge increase in the amount of council tax that goes to the police fire commissioner. So in fact, we're talking about the money they will pay given back to their area through grant funding. Should be done through the general policing budget and should be done by good government and good police in this area, which I know uniformed officers do support because they love this area.
Yeah.
So lots of them come here and they want to see better responses. And I think we should support them as well as saying thanks very much for the grant money, but it will come to an end. Thank you.
I'll just say one thing on the back of that is that I did meet up with Ali today, Ali Honus, who's the local bobby in Sheerness. And I asked for some feedback on the street marshals in particular, because I think that's what you're kind of getting at. And what this is allowing us to do is understand actually, is her job easier with a marshal there? Is it actually, has the antisocial behaviour rate come down? And I guess that over a period of this 18 months that we're going to be doing these street marshals, that's the kind of feedback I'm expecting back from Ali. And it is what she's actually telling me right now. She was very sceptical about this, to be fair, when I first met her. And she's done nothing but praise the street marshals since they've been there. So this will maybe help get those PCSOs back, is what I'm saying.
On that in future, obviously, we don't want to see vandalism, logo, antisocial behaviour in any area of the island, absolutely. But I think we need to be strong as a council and councillors to say, do you know what? We should have a police representative here at every area meeting, and they should be telling us reasons why they're coming up with a 70% staffing shortfall of the policing of this area, and why they're expecting council taxpayers to pay twice for this policing, which really they're entitled to. And it's part of their own planning that they said that they would put that neighbourhood team here, made a big fuss about it, removed our PCSOs. Don't forget, we remove PCSOs, you remove hundreds of hours of community networking, community support. And actually, that will take time for these street wardens to go. And there's one of them.
Yeah.
We lost a team of 6. We should be scouting one for 6 police officers, I think, as far as I'm aware. And we've got 2. And actually, they come to every single parish and town meeting that they can get to. They're doing their really very, very best. And often, they come outside of their contracted hours to do so. So some of this is absolutely fantastic, but I would like to make sure that we're focusing on the bigger picture and the fact that we should be looking beyond the end of this funding and to hold the police accountable for their decisions at a strategic level, not on a uniform basis.
Thank you, Councillor Worcester. I'll take 2 more questions on this subject. Matt and then Councillor. This is very quick, Councillor.
Just going back to the old library, of course, up until recently, it wasn't a wreck. It caught fire as a result of effectively, you've got another 2 derelict buildings alongside it, which are privately owned and the kids school, able to access. We've got 4 serious derelict buildings at the moment. The kids are treating as playgrounds, the library being one of them. I understand that it's been shielded up, but there's still they can still get into the old 7-Eleven store and they can still get into the water tower. But the real serious one for me is the North Public House down St George's Avenue, where they're getting up on the roof, they've smashed all the windows out, and they're regularly in there at night. You can see them, and what can you do?
Thank you. Councillor Harrison, my sincere apologies that I forgot you. I will never forgive myself. I hope you can forgive me. Councillor Harrison.
No, see it in the book.
names. I hope that going forward, we will remember them. Barry, was it in the PCSO in Queenborough and Rushenden? Worth his weight in gold, isn't it? That bloke was absolutely fantastic. What I put my hand up to say was you mentioned working with Oasis. And then there's a bit of brain fog, but I vaguely recall that Oasis are going this year, September. So the question is, have you started building relations with EKC and the other academy?
Yeah, so the people I work with are Blogdale CIC. So Blogdale have a link into the Oasis Academy School as it is. Some of their troublesome students who refuse to go into school, for example, go to the youth centre and they work with them, engage with them, build up their confidence. So they have a route into the teachers and the head of year 7 at the moment. So I'm actually working with Blogdale who then works in terms of that school work. So yeah, there is a link.
I can mention, I did say 2 more, Councillor Worcester, sorry, Councillor MacDonald.
Yes, I totally agree with Councillor Worcester. I think the policing now is appalling, not by the staff. They're run off their feet, quite frankly. And a lot of this antisocial behaviour is because there is no policing around. You know, obviously I'm a lot older than anybody else, but there used to be a lot of policemen about at one time. But all this vandalism and antisocial behaviour and theft, huge amounts of theft, and it's not being dealt with. And I do actually blame the police authority because my rates on as an individual to the police authority is enormous, and we're not getting value for money, quite frankly. And I think our council should really make it very plain to the police authority and maybe the Home Secretary that we're not getting value for money, not by the staff. I'd have to say they're run off their feet and they're brilliant.
Thank you. One last question, Councillor, it's quick, please.
Yeah, it will be quick. Obviously, I echo that everyone has said. I think the real issue is that we've suffered years and years of real-time cuts to policing, and I don't think anyone can actually be surprised with the cuts to policing and the cuts to wraparound care that the crime rate has gone up and the antisocial behaviour of the youth has gone up as well. What I wanted to know, obviously, the community street warden is doing an absolutely fantastic job, and being on the CSB executive as well does help to. I know a little bit more about it, and I know how much of an impact it is having. But one of the areas on the island that has an increased rate of antisocial behaviour that hasn't been mentioned is Thistle Hill in Minster. There's a lot of antisocial behaviour there. So will there be increased police support coming to that area? And can we have some, you know, if there's scope to get more of the street ones, can we have some control in the Thistle Hill area in Minster as well? Because there are high rates of antisocial behaviour there, particularly around the thank you.
I'm happy to come back. So in the Safer Streets funding is very location specific. So from that perspective, it can't transfer to Thistle Hill. However, the wider work that we as a council do with the police and other partners, we do look at targeted location work as needed. As a council, well, as a community safety partnership, we do get a small grant for the Police and Crime Commission for other activities as well. So that's certainly something we can feed in. As Councillor Joes at the front will know as well, there's been a lot of work we've done on Thistle Hill in the past. So it's certainly something that we can look at to see what else we can do.
Can I come back on this question? I'll be mentioned.
10 seconds.
Thank you. So Safer Streets funding is based on how many crimes reported in the area. So the more crimes reported in Thistle Hill, the better, because then the government. That's how Sheppey got in. That's how Sittingbourne's got it. Report. There may be no action from the police, but we might get a couple of £1,000 down the line and get the police officers in and get the interventions that we need.
Yeah, absolutely agree with
11 seconds, sorry, Jack.
No, that's fine. Thank you, team. Do you want to do useful to get to that? Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Next, enjoy agenda item 7 is revolving project update.
This latest update that for the Levelling Up project. I spoke in detail about it at the last area committee. I'm not intending to go through the report on it. I'm sure that you've all read this latest update. There hasn't been too much that has changed since the last meeting, so I will take any questions that anyone's got. Thank you.
Questions, everyone happy? Councillor Harrison?
Just a quick one. The awarding of the bid was something like 6 months after the government said they would make a decision. Everyone who applied had to put in the bid to start here and finish by March 25.
Yeah.
Now, and I mean, it was, you know, some of that was really, really tight. So you told us 6 months after we should have started it to fill it. Are you going to extend it to a good 6 months later? Because otherwise, let's look at it and say, come on, mate, if there's no point spending half the money, not getting it done by March 25, and you saying, oh, well, gives the 20 mil back. So, you know, we do need some security going forward that we start spending that. I know there were so many hoops to jump through before we could even put a spade in the ground. But even so, you know, it's the government that held it up. So we would, you know, we need that extra 6 months or whatever it was. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I mentioned last time that we are working with the DLUC team in government to put that to them. We do that every time the team meet with them, and we are currently in negotiations around that extension of 6 months plus, because obviously as the project evolves, things change and whatever. So that's the monitoring group. There's a member working group that monitors this, that we have to report as part of the governance of the project. And certainly no major risk financially will be going anywhere without that agreement from the council that we are happy to do and take any risk financially. So yeah, it'll be interesting times. Government, we're not the only ones. Government are being heavily lobbied across these projects, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Forster?
Sorry, Chair, I should have been quick off the mark, which actually registered the Inflation Notice item. Because I don't think the paperwork's been formalised yet, but I'm going to be a governor for EKC, not at where the living up bid is going to happen, but at the new secondary issue. So I do apologise.
I think you just right, just as you've done that, so thank you for bringing that to an end. Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Jones?
Thank you. I think as Sheppey mentions, Sheppey Matters has been mentioned quite a lot. I'm the council representative to them, but my point was going to be, talks about the working group. I think we can refer things to service committees from here. I'd like us to refer that I think the following election, because the working group set before the election, the numbers of different councillors, I'd like to propose that the three main parties, SIA, Conservative and Labour, get an extra member on there, so there's more island member oversight. I think at the moment, no member that lives on the island is on that committee. So I'd like to see us expand it with 3 extra members, and I'm hoping if I need a seconder, I can get one for that.
Oh, sorry,
To regeneration committee.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, refer it to the service
I'll
committee.
second that, yeah.
I think that's the one.
sorry, Councillor Jones proposed that, yes.
Yeah.
And Councillor Whiting second. Councillor Harrison?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I think the only people sitting on that work group should be from other councillors. I'll be told if they're doing it on the borough council, not on the, yes, on the council.
So I think it's political balance. I think it's too many blues. I think.
No, it's just one for me.
So if you want to make sure, like, say, it should be more than
It
that.
would be a number of members. It's up to groups to say, well, my member would be from Sheppey.
Okay.
Yeah, I think as it's a working group, not subcommittee, it can go to the wider members of the council rather than committee specific.
So we've got a proposer from Councillor Jones, second by Councillor Whiting. Show of hands, people agree with that, we take it to the councillors. What would it be? I will write to the. Thank you. That's covered everything. Anything else? No? Thank you. Agenda item 8, Shillingstown Clock. Cocktail, I should say, Emma again.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So in view is an item around the illuminations of the Sheerness clock tower. I'm sure all of you are aware that there was investment made and it was fully restored between 21 and 22 with High Street Fund. And certainly from what I've heard, there's some really positive feedback about what has happened so far. The paper in front of you is an opportunity really for the Sheppey Area Committee to get involved with the programming and the illuminations as we move forward. There is an opportunity to, and you'll see that in Appendix 1, to look at the illumination schedule. Now, the reason for that is because Queen II has passed away and we need to be able to reprogram to instead mark King Charles's birthday. So this illumination schedule was arranged previously when we did the restoration. But what this is asking is whether the area committee, given that you are local and hopefully see this as an important asset, have a discussion and see whether or not you are happy to determine what that illumination schedule should be. It would be, because we wouldn't foresee necessarily loads of changes once agreed, the initial programming would be funded by the council. That's the funding that the council has. And then anything ongoing, should other changes be made, then the funding would need to be found from, I say the area committee, this doesn't have any funding anymore, but people within the town council. But hopefully, if you're happy to agree the reprogramming, it may well be that it will not be changing, fingers crossed, for a while. So, over to
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you. I think it's also here because I raised about getting some things put onto this schedule. So I was approached by the Rotary Club on Sheppey who wanted to see World Polio Day and sit lit up purple. Obviously, I think they put purple material over the lights this year to celebrate because it was impossible to change the schedule. But also I was approached by the Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day, which is October the 15th. They'd like to see the clock lit up blue. I think we should perhaps not necessarily make a Students' Day, but give members 7 days to throw whatever they can towards and leave it to you to decide, Chair, in consultation with you, Chair.
Okay. Councillor, Councillor Worcester.
I would actually like to see this item at least offered to Sheerness Town Council, mainly because we are island councillors, we represent the island. Actually, this is a really good point where potential residents could come forward with ideas that mean something to Sheppey residents. There may be lots of things. We've got a huge amount of heritage on the island. And actually, it may well be that they come up with ideas that we do not think about. I fully appreciate this, and obviously, who's not going to support the change from a previous monarch to another monarch to do that? You know, there's nothing here to say that any of those ideas are terrible ideas, but I think this is a really good opportunity where residents could just come up with something different that means a lot to Sheppey residents and potentially some of the national elements here. So, for instance, it could be something like, I'm going to refer to my friend Councillor MacDonald, his history is far better than mine. There may be something on a heritage nature that, for instance, we want to stop, or something that's happened locally that we may want reflected in this as well. And as for potential payment of extra challenges, I don't see that as a problem to at least bring it in front of Sheerness Town Council as an item. I'm quite sorry, I'm just one of the Sheerness Town Councillors, there's a group of us, but it can be discussed, and obviously we'd be happy to consider that an appropriate meeting. Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think if that would be great, Councillor Worcester, and if you could give us the dates of any parish council or town council apologies meeting, because we are time bound on this, as in we will need to have changed the lighting for the King's birthday to May.
I think absolutely, and that's why I said, for instance, I'm not against any of the list that's come forward. So, for instance, if that change can happen before that, fantastic. But for instance, ongoing, we may decide that, for instance, next time this comes round, we could look at this a little differently. Absolutely, but if we can fit it in, great. But I think this is a future conversation as well.
Can I just come back, because my understanding is that this schedule, once done, would be able to be changed, but that would come at a cost.
Yeah.
So what I was sort of saying is if people are able to feedback before May, we can cover that cost.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I'm gonna caveat with how many illuminations have we got in the programme, because if there was like 20 million that came forward, I'm not sure.
Exactly.
However, it would be really great if within the next 7 days, people can ask, get the word out. It might be that we extend it further through the chair, because if we can get that sorted before May, then actually that's a well-meaning engagement for a schedule that if then, for whatever in years to come, we need to look at it, we can cover it. But what my concern is, if we don't have everything now, there could be extra costs that others can't bear, and I wouldn't want that. I think the whole point of this was to get the engagement from this area committee and local people, so that it's something they feel proud of. So if we are able to do anything now, it would be great because the council can organise it rather than waiting. Is that okay?
But it's that Sheerness Town Council's meetings are public meetings. They are publicised. They are, and look, obviously I enjoyed having the honest conversation should be, this is a Sheerness specific matter. It sits in Sheerness board. I think we could have done better as well and said, actually, this is coming up. Could we have put it in front of the full council, which was yesterday? You see what I mean?
Well, okay, so we come here as the way in which we do consult. I didn't appreciate that the town council, now we know, could be interested. We can go, we can come to the town council. If you can tell me what the dates are, I'm sure there's another one before May and we can get this sorted.
Absolutely, and that's why we.
So coming on that, I know the next meetings for the area meetings haven't been done yet. That's the conversation. So it's in June currently, so we're not going to meet again. So unless there's any, I've got no problem with being consulted with the Sheerness Town Council through Emma, I could do that. They come back with any consultation. I think the other parish councils will all meet, I'm sure, before then as well, to feed into Councillor Worcester and yourself. But what we cannot have is then once we've set any changes that cost the council money, because we've got no money, and we can't waste it on lights and the town clock. I don't mean that to sound horribly, but as I was saying, youth service, all the rest of the things, we feel the more important things to spend money on. So that make sure we get it right first time. Is that happy for me to say that? Perfect. Second one with Nundy. Councillor Nundy, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I was going to echo part of what Councillor said. One of the dates that I think should be on there is the 20th of November. I've just Googled it, and apparently that was the first flight on the Isle of Sheppey.
The age of Councillor Worcester, perfect.
Which is quite a prominent date in the history of the island.
Perfect.
And I think that should definitely be up. And also, when it gets there, can the council put something on Facebook? Because people are going to walk through the town on the 1st of October, see that it's lit up pink, and probably not realise what's that about. Why it's lit up pink is that breast cancer awareness. Okay, if we post it about on social media, people would know that and they'd see it and they think, oh, that's quite nice.
Perfect, Councillor Worcester. Perfect. Councillor Harrison. Councillor Harrison.
Yeah, I did not hear, mainly because if you're at the front, talking to the front, people at the back can't hear, the day that Councillor James was talking about.
Pregnancy and infant loss time.
Pregnancy and infant loss.
Oh, sorry, still facing the front of the month.
Right. Through the training, did you, Councillor James?
I did the training, I just obviously didn't pay attention.
Okay,
And I can't hear you and I'm listening at you.
Moving on.
what I was going to say is that, I mean, we're talking about a grand of throw to change it, which would change peanuts. The other point is, and when this first came up, I did say, I was born in Sheerness. This was clearly something that's done, well, clearly, with the refurb. I rarely go down the town after dark, as do very, very many residents. But it does need to be advertised, as Councillor Lundy just said, because there are people that do, and there are people who walk from the train station home. And I think that, 2 days' time, it's Mental Health Day. Just to let you know, that's why the clock's going to be green. you know, because I read this now. I was saying that I occasionally drive through, and I say a vast majority of people don't. And it is, though it's in Sheerness, that clock is seen as the island symbol, I think. You know, we all own it. We actually probably do all own it, we're all choosing for it. So, yeah, number one, grand to go, but number two, the advertising. And yeah, perhaps we should have thought sooner about going to the local town council to take on. But the grand to go is to have a proper professional to do the job.
Yep.
As opposed to Joe Bloggs down the road who's got a spanner and a screwdriver. Because that's how we got in this mess in the first place.
All right, so I think going back to the point, purely because of the dates that we meet. So that's why we agreed that Sheerness Town Council and other parish council can feed and then feed back into Emma. I think we all agreed on that. Does that make sense?
Yes, Chair.
Can I ask you a question? Councillor Chair.
Yeah, and just to possibly favour a different motion, to be fair, considering this is quite time sensitive and we're wasting a lot of money talking about lights, to be fair. If we were to propose and agree that we go with the list that Emma has given us, and then if Emma wishes to speak to town and parish councils and they come up with an extensive list whenever they meet, then maybe then towns and parishes can make a change.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Whiting.
It's kind of along similar lines, except there's a proposal that the area committee take on the responsibility for this list effectively. And I think that's probably quite a good one. So my view is that we should go with the list that we've got, but that we should delegate to Emma and yourself, Chairman, as Chairman of this committee, any changes between now and the May deadline that come forward from the parishes or the general members of the public, and leave it to you guys to finalise that list. Because if there are clashes on dates, somebody's going to have to make a decision about which one wins. And I think it's probably fairer that yourself, Chairman, on behalf of this committee, along with Emma, make those decisions on our behalf. But that we then schedule in perhaps an annual review of this list to be discussed here, and that we advertise that well in advance with the parish councils so that their input and other societies, clubs, you know, there's a whole World Scout Day. There could be a whole range of things coming forward, and that we do that in plenty of time to bring those suggestions to that annual review at this committee.
Okay. Councillor Shaw, I think that's what you were saying pretty much, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So are you happy to propose that?
I am definitely.
Councillor Whiting, you happy to second?
Yeah.
A show of hands, people that agree, so there's
Chair.
two then.
As far as I'm aware, of the Constitution, could be wrong. Individual councillors do not have decision-making powers, so it'd be more appropriate to say to the head of regeneration and neighbourhoods in consultation.
Yeah.
Perfect, no problem. So the two proposed, one, it is as it is on page 12, appendix 1. And then any additions that are agreed or brought forward, we can discuss through myself and then take it to the chair of these departments.
No, we don't need to go anywhere else. It's just, I just need to know in time, you know, sooner the better, and then we can get that included. But if I don't hear, then we go with the list that you've got.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will hear.
And that's really
Sorry?
6th of June is D-Day 80 years with beacon lighting across the country. It's 80 years of beacon, I mean, so.
Okay, so moving on.
I wonder if we could put Councillor Lundy's addition in about the social media posts.
Yes,
Yeah.
no,
Yes.
As long as we're proposing secondary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, around the even any.
I would say.
The deadline, I'm going to say, is end of April. Okay?
Yeah.
Show of hands for that then, please. Thank you. Okay, anything else on that? We move on. Agenda 9 is swallow for bus forum. Anything council wants to come back on that?
I will say this, so I attended that meeting with Emma, and I think Councillor Baldock was the only other representative that was actually at the meeting. And I think, unfortunately, no, I do apologise, Councillor Bald was there as well, sorry, that was really good project. Really good meeting, I thought, and the addition that I made during the meeting, which wasn't considered, was that Travel Master should be invited along to that meeting. Because even though they don't run public bus services, they still are affected by the ongoing situation with bus. And it was really interesting to have that discussion with ACC officers, much more information about the situation that's come forward. The differences, which Emma will try and go, actually, no, it would be better to have those meetings more regularly. And I do take it about the resources being very scarce. It'd be nice that potentially it is prioritised because it is so effective, bearing in mind that Minster has just lost its 360 route to its high street. We'll be looking at that hopefully at parish level as well, but it needs that support all the way through. So very good meeting. Take some bits back that are specific to the island. Instances, one, not too long really, but there you go.
No.
Thank you.
Pretty comprehensive team. Any good questions? Move on. Councillor McDonald.
Yeah, if I could just quickly mention the reason why the bus doesn't go up through Minster High Street is because of all the parking on one side and the damage to vehicles on the curbing, which I'll be looking at, and hopefully we may be able to do something, but each tyre costs a huge amount of money, and if the walls are ripped out, you can't operate a bus if if the costs outweigh the income.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Whiting.
Thanks, Chair. At the very end on page 15, it talks about the representatives of the bus companies perhaps being willing to attend future area committee meetings if required. And I think it might be quite, you, Chair, worth putting an invite into Chalkwell as the bus company that does provide services on Sheppey. I wonder whether Matthew Chalkwell will be willing to come along and Roland.
Yeah, Matthew's.
Sorry, Matthew Roland would be willing to come along and
No, we can organise that. It's not.
Yeah.
Everyone happy to do that?
Great.
Good show of hands. Perfect. Thank you. Linda, if it's very quick on this, I know your thoughts on buses.
Yeah, definitely on buses. One thing is that Sheerness Town Council are paid for a bus shelter to be on Millennium Way by the chemist. It's meant to be going up tomorrow. I expect they're going to say it's raining. But that's something that, is really important because a lot of people get there. The other thing is there's 3 bus stops, 2 in the High Street and 1 in the Broadway, which are not being used, and people are standing there waiting for buses. And
Sheerness or Minster?
it's Sheerness.
Sheerness, okay.
They've not been used for some time because now children, rightly so, are not coming down the High Street because of the amount of traffic and the worry about people crossing in front of them, etc., etc. So those buses got to be removed, and we could deal with. Well, I'll talk about that later on.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you.
I just want to say that I was a bus driver, and I used to take was King's Ferry through that actual road in Minster by the shops there. And eventually we ended up having to reroute it round because the amount of, you've got a pub there, they walk straight out the pub, straight across the road in front of you.
Can't decide.
On your left hand side, you've got like an 8-foot sticks going on 9-foot vehicle trying to get through that gap. It's just.
Absolutely.
And I understand why they won't go down.
Thank you for that. Agenda item 10, track swell, track 4. Okay, thank you.
Yes, hopefully we've had a chance to read the report, page 23 of the agenda pack about the slower traffic forum that's being set up. The membership of the forum set out in the report, but there will be one representative from each of the 4 area committees. So this evening, I'd like to ask, are there any, anyone who would like to nominate themselves or nominate somebody to sit on this forum?
Councillor Worcester.
I'll second.
Okay,
Unless you want to chat.
anyone else?
Well, I wouldn't, none of it, there was.
I'll be opposed, councillor McLaren.
Are you withdrawing or are you still up with me?
I don't mind, I don't want to upset anyone.
Got a proposer, seconder, councillor McDonald? Councillor Martin. Okay, so show of hands for councillor Worcester, please. Oh, so it's for the committee, which is this committee, so.
That's 4. Oh, 5.
And councillor McDonald?
You don't vote for you.
Yes,
Want to vote? No, you're abstaining.
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Councillor Worcester, you're now on that forum.
Great, but I'll be working with Councillor McDonald, the relevant party, because we've got absolutely excellent stuff to add and helps me out knowing them more work anyway.
For yourself, you can't make it.
Yeah.
I would say, Chair, could we make Councillor McDonald do the stuff so that, you know, because
Agreed.
that's really the work.
Agreed.
I'm very much common sense pragmatism. I'm sure that will happen. Absolutely. Happy to do that. Agreed. Agreed.
I just asked, I didn't catch who seconded councillor Worcester's nomination.
Councillor Lundy.
Councillor Lundy, thank you.
That's one.
Just a question really on 1.4 about the representation. Have we got confirmation from those other agencies that they're willing to attend?
My understanding is that that's going out now, so it's about trying to find out whether or not they're, you know, trying to get the dates for the meetings and invite them. So I can't confirm that they've all said they will, but that's the idea. I think this is another trial basis, because I think it's going to be challenging.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carry on, Janet.
So, the third recommendation on the report is to feedback any traffic issues that you would like council to take to the first meeting. Are there any?
I'll email her.
I was going to say.
All the roads to be honest.
Okay. Thank you. Just wait for the chair to return.
Go on, Pete. Second.
You'll be a second.
We turn the lights off and hi. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about it.
As I understand it, Chairman, if I can, on 1.2, it explains what the work of the forum will be, in a sense. It doesn't really seem to include any impact these works have on Sheppey. It talks about.
Guiding councillor Whiting on page 23.
Page 3 of 1.2.
Yes.
Maintain the flow of traffic along key corridors during works such as Key Street Road First and the M2 Junction 5.
Yeah, but I think the unintended consequence and knock-on effects will be raised, for sure.
It will be
Raised in the forum, because they're knock-on effects, so whilst they're key corridors, then the impact of the bridge into the island, lower roads, stuff like that, I'm sure.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they are. I'm trying to work out which local roads on Sheppey would be affected by the M2.
Well, I think,
They won't,
yeah.
so.
There will be other issues, won't there, that will come up,
Yeah.
for sure.
Councillor Broad.
Adrian Oliver did run a forum which was area committee specific regarding travel routes for Sheppey that was hosted at the Health Living Centre and also available online for what he plans on doing.
Thank you for that. Anything else on that? Perfect. Item 11, excuse me, housing support fund.
There, and again, what we wanted to do, was share this report with the committee for information really, because there's some really good work that has been going on borough-wide. And so we felt that it would be helpful for you to at least have the information on it. Many people have benefited from the funding that we have received through the Household Support Fund from government. It is stopping. We hoped it wouldn't. Who knows what might happen after general elections, and there's been lobbying, but at the moment, as it stands, the money will be ceasing at the end of March, which is a massive shame because it has benefited a range of voluntary organisations on the island and the borough as a whole. And I think for our communities team, you saw Steph earlier who manages that team, it will be very much around still working with the voluntary sector with the UK's prosperity money that we've got, but also monitoring the unintended perhaps consequences this may or may not have to our residents, particularly in deprived areas like the island, because we have a feeling it might. So we want to just, it's a good piece of work. It's a really good thing to celebrate with the achievements that have happened, but also to make you aware that, we will see what happens. And then therefore it may well be that we bring other things back to just to update, but I'll take any comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chair. I wished to pay tribute to the diminishing number of staff at Swale Borough Council who are involved in this sort of work. I mind, there was the COVID support as well. The way that our staff have managed to work with the community and voluntary sector to get this support needed is fantastic. They've done a brilliant job. But what is even better, and I know this from the COVID support funds, talking to other districts, that the information that our staff have pulled together for us, anyone who wants to read it, to see exactly where that money's gone, how many people it's benefited, etc., etc. I mean, it's quite stark, but what would these people have done? What would these thousands of people have done without this? And what are they going to do after the 31st of March when that money stops? And I know there's what was it? Oh, we're going to put you into confusion.
I didn't hear that, but I love the impression, but I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah. What's it? Lifestyle choice.
Right.
Lots. There were always there's some. But these people are in a desperate situation, and I know from talking to people who really don't want to ask for help, but they are desperate, and this has been an absolute lifeline to them. So I pay tribute to the staff that have managed to get it out there and work very closely with community and voluntary groups, but also to the actual paperwork, because this puts it quite starkly what it has meant. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you much for what Councillor Harrison just said. Well done to the staff, well done to our partners. It's such a shame that government pulling the rug out from underneath all these people's feet. I hope when the budget comes in a few weeks' time, the government's budget, it'll be renamed something different. But so that it looks good for election time. But I don't have much faith in this government, so I'm sure let's get tougher.
Thank you. Councillor Worcester.
Thank you, Chair. I just still learning how we approach it. Swale has operated a cost of living meeting for a while, and I would like to pay tribute to the staff with regards to SJ and the team. I attend that meeting by invite, which I'm very pleased to, because the way that Swale pulled together the data map that includes data from the CAB, that includes data from Kent, that includes data for back household. And this really, this funding stops. This is when the data is most prevalent and relevant. It's great that we've had all the data up to now. but I really like to request that that data comes to area meetings and the full credit for that data goes to those staff members who created it, because that should be one of the impacts of this that we will be realising over maybe the next year, year and a half, when that funding has stopped. And that's when we want to see the data. So now we have the tools to provide that data en masse. I think that should be coming in a form that you have the right and appropriate. It should be coming here to inform residents and councillors out of Swales works, but also where the deficit lies. And that way we can then, as area councillors, go back and use that lobbying function of Swale effectively to make sure that we are highlighting where these vulnerable people can't highlight themselves. I'd also like to highlight Children's Centre in Sheerness has been specifically amazing. Their programme that they run in conjunction with Swale for their fuel and water advisor has been life-saving for so many of the families that I'm in contact with on a regular basis. And that's so sad that that work is going to stop. And they are absolutely don't know where they're going to go now, those families. And I think signposting, yes, but we also need to realise that there is going to be a major change based on this funding. And thank you.
Councillor Nunn?
Yeah, just reading through the report, it's clear that the household support fund really helps people. You know, the fund has provided 11,614 emergency food parcels, 4,444 households have been provided with essentials to reduce fuel consumption. And when you read through some of the quotes from people that think, no, people, there's one here, I think it's one that really sticks, you know, I just want to say a huge thank you for our food parcel over the past few weeks. It's so sad really that at 70 years of age, I've had to turn to a charity to help feed my husband and I, and all of that money is being pulled by central government. For what? What's that bit? What? Is it going to the NHS? No, because that's an absolute shambles. Is it going to reduce, is it going to sort the roads out? No, apparently it's not. It's disgusting. For the past 12 years, the government has said, 14 years, sorry, the government has said to us, we're just trying to balance the books, we've got to make cuts, we're just trying to balance the books. Surely they should have been balanced by now. And I just think it's really sad that all of this money's being pulled. And, you know, this poor couple at 70 that are in their 70s, who are they going to turn to now? Where are they going to go and get food? And that's not two people, that's just that's qualitative data. Where are the, you know, where are the people that claim those 11,000 food parcels? Where are they going to go now?
It's going to reduce taxing for the rich people.
Yeah, that is very, very true.
Thank you, Councillor Nunley. Councillor Whiting.
Just to say, Chairman, if it's helpful, I'm just reading a note, a letter that the council leader at KCC, Roger Goff, has written to Jeremy Hunt. I just sent you a copy of it, that he sent, raising exactly the issues that have been raised here tonight, pleading for the government to extend and renew this fund because it's so desperately needed by the residents of Kent. So the application is actually still open until the 29th of February for people who want to apply for £100 winter fuel payment, and they can still, but when the pot's gone, but the applications are open until the 29th of February for that, if residents want to do that. But please rest assured, I'm more assured now than I was 5 minutes ago before I read this letter, which I just found, that the KCC is on the case with the Chancellor of the Exchequer to try to get this sorted for after March. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Very, very good comment. It's a fantastic comment, guys.
For actually an action to take place, which was for working group, the cost of living groups data to come to area committees.
Apologies, I missed that.
It's okay. I just wanted to ask, you can tell me that's inappropriate, or it's the wrong place to raise it, but I would like that taken forward as an action, because I think it will inform quite a lot of the area committees' work. And judging by the amount of residents that we had here this evening, it actually really helped highlight it for going on to the street. It was
Thank you.
really nice to watch.
Yeah, I've heard what you've said, councillor Worcester. I'll take that back to the team and we will figure out the most appropriate times to bring it back in terms of the resource to collect it. There's certain times in the year it's more.
But it's only if they generate the data for every cost of living meeting.
Yeah,
So it's not
exactly.
exactly.
So it shouldn't be a problem. So please.
Item 14, local issues. Any members have any issues they'd like to raise on behalf of the residents community? I think we've covered a menagerie of issues tonight. Is there anything else is it going to be short, councillor Worcester?
Yes. Yeah. See what project again moved, and it's movement. I'm happy to provide photos. I'm happy to keep banging on about it until I deem that area is safe and is ongoing safe. And I'm more and more concerned as every month passes that those puzzle blocks, they're not called puzzle blocks, I'm just guessing what they're called, are actually going to fall into that highway. And that is a central route, resident, school traffic, people get to work.
Have you forwarded that all onto the EA?
I've contacted Swell. It was initially passed through Swell, from Swell to the EA back again. I've also had a previous area meeting, and I will continue to be persistent in a pleasant, lovely way about it.
So Ryan informed councillor was to carry on with the EA. I guess we can all do that as well. I'm sure I see a picture of it recently. Facebook comment. Anyone else?
Chair, quick question.
Yes.
Now that Abbott's a shut, rescue farm shut in Queenborough, you know, that massive site, it shut in December. Does Swell have a important action or anything planned to make sure they keep it in a safe and reasonable state? You know, it's not going to deteriorate into some like the cocktails and things next night. Do you have any input or not, or is it something that happened?
Privately owned, so I can.
That's input in.
Do you feel that there's issues there then?
No, there's not. No.
But it could be.
If it's left for 20 years.
Let me, can I take that back?
Yeah,
because I have a feeling that there are. I'm not sure, I don't know, but there must be.
It's really mitigation.
It's difficult for me to say, but clearly they're looking for new owners for that site, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're looking for use.
There's a regeneration program of that site as well.
Sorry, guys, sorry.
Yeah, just to add into that, somebody is still on site until the end of June. They've still got some staff working in there. But we as a town council at the emergency crisis plan meeting last night agreed that we should incorporate that site into our emergency plan for when it does become derelict, because there is potential for an awful lot of ASB and potential arson, which will have a huge impact on our.
Thank you.
Emma, you want to tell us, you were hoping to do something about that some considerable time ago. Have you got anywhere with it? Our sites in Sheerness.
In terms of the council doing what with it?
Well, when you developed Master's House, we were also pleased that you developed it, and you were looking at the area that was surrounding it because of the vandalism. And I wondered if you'd managed to contact the owners or or anything.
So obviously there's a lot of issues with that site. It is an unsafe structure. The owners, who I know have been trying to sell it, we thought that they might have been new owners, but I don't believe there are. My understanding is through our building control recently, we have contacted the owners and instructed them through a section, I can't remember the number, notice, forgive me, to make that safe. So we've been very clear with them what they need to do. They're aware of it. Anything else in terms of future use is not necessarily something we're looking at the moment as a council, because again, that's a similar thing with the old library, it's the cost. And we don't have the money to purchase that water tower. But we understand that it is an eyesore, it is something that needs to be looked at. So it's on the radar, but I can't, the council can't promise that it's going to be doing anything moving forward other than trying to encourage that owner to do something, take responsibility for its site. Thank you.
Thank you. Where we did the public forum on agenda item 10, I've crossed through agenda item 12, which I apologise, which is the matters arising. There's never normally matters arising. Any issues? The matters arising agenda item 12. Sorry to do it out of sync, Michael. Councillor Oscar.
That was really.
Is that from the members' issues or from the minutes, the last one?
I do apologise.
That's right, that's right. We agree the minutes, very good. Back to the members' issues, carry on.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's fine.
The fire at the recycle centre happened on Hillport's land, so private land, obviously. A considerable amount of resources were sent from Kent Fire and Rescue. I was in contact with them through the event, and subsequently gone back to look at their common strategy, which is quite interesting. But it does, you know, when we looked at applications as a town council, the last application we looked at for Hillports was a cement factory, and that chair passed. But during that meeting, it was pointed out that when they look at emergency procedures for these planning applications, that isn't part of the planning application process. That fell to the London Port Authority later on after that planning application had been successful. That's their process. But I have to highlight that we were lucky in Sheerness that that wind direction was not resident facing. And if, for instance, 249 had been closed, if the bridge had been closed, we would be seeing something that was far worse potentially, because emergency services are already delayed getting onto the island. And actually, I'm really interested in trying to contact Hillports to see what changes can be made to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. I know it's difficult because they're a private company, but I think it should be raised here because we have a higher than average problem with COPD. Ireland's got a large rate of it, and also other breathing difficulties. We have lots of GPs in that area. We have lots of primary schools and secondary schools. They were all affected by that major event in Sheerness. And I would like to investigate what support Twelve Council can offer the residents of Sheerness.
So, sorry, going back to the Hillport, so are you saying that we somehow contact Hillport, say what they're going to do, make sure it doesn't happen again?
Offer some support to them. So, for instance, I know they're predominantly a land management company, but they do offer employment to our residents. And obviously, we can see that the actions taking place on Hillports in this sort of instance do make a difference to the welfare of our residents. And that's how I feel it feels under Swabber Council's remit, because that could and did make a difference. I was receiving, for 3 days, I was running to my feet, my emails were going nuts, private messenger, Facebook, absolutely everything going, because people were really scared. Part of it was because the information wasn't coming out quick enough from Kent Fire and Rescue. That's a different, you know, I've sorted out really, hopefully. But it's about, for instance, trying to reassure residents that we're doing everything possible within our remit, that we are communicating, providing that element where residents feel that they are reassured that businesses operating in the area are doing everything they can to minimise problems that could possibly occur. Who would have thought that recycling centre would have set fire? No, now we know it may very well happen again.
So, sorry, so going back onto that, is it not Kent Fire and Rescue that would speak to them to say how has this happened and you know, lessons learned?
For instance, it doesn't fit here, I'm quite willing to accept.
Yeah, both, whatever. But yeah, absolutely, you're right, it's blind the wrong way. Absolutely. Thank you.
I am aware that we were aware as officers over the weekend and it was being monitored. I haven't had an update since then, so I'm not going to say no news is good news, but you know what I mean, because it hasn't escalated. However, I can go back and find out in the team whether or not what was done, but I appreciate the communications really should have come from Hillport or Kent Fire and Rescue first responders. you know, as you know, the resource we've got within out of hours is limited. But that doesn't mean I can't inquire, Dolly. And maybe we can talk offline about having a conversation with Phil Ports, because we do have contacts there.
That's
So,
this is
that's all right.
to support both residents and making sure that those businesses are.
But it's about asking them to provide that support rather than the council.
Absolutely.
But we can have a conversation with them, so we'll speak offline. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, councillor Shield.
Yeah, and just similarly with that, do you have a community emergency?
Yes, it's with the CEO as well at the moment, but it's highlighting the emergency procedures around businesses. Where does that fit in? We're quite happy to have that on, Madam.
Yeah, we've been quite lucky with Queenbury in feeding in and out of local businesses for emergencies, so, yeah. The emergency plans are really good things to have.
Councillor Nolan.
Just as a matter of record, when Emma was talking about Peel Ports and communication, perhaps should have come from them. I was actually reporting for the BBC over the weekend for that, and there's phone Peel Ports initially, and the only person on the switchboard was a security guard who laughed when I suggested that there might be somebody from management there. He said, no, phone back on Monday morning. There is a PR company based in Liverpool which does PR for Peel Ports, but I couldn't get hold of anybody from there, which is a matter of concern, because it was a big fire and the docks are a major industrial so it was really frustrating for me as a member of the press, but I would imagine that might have been a problem for the other emergency services as well, trying to get hold of somebody.
Okay, we're not going into it tonight,
Yeah.
we're a long agenda, but they should have an emergency plan procedure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's look into that. Thanks for that. Interesting.
So in all that, from what councillor also said, would you like me to write to King Fire and Rescue?
I think Emma's going away to get up there.
Look into it, because we've got an emergency plan team, not that there's a team. To see whether or not what happened and what lessons can be learned. But what I would also encourage Dolly maybe to speak to Ashley, because if you're, there's a lot of learning to be done from people that have already done like emergency planning. So we can assist with that. Not that your responsibility for the field portfolio, but having those, who to go to, knowing what to do.
It's a really good point, but our emergency plan at the moment is sat with the CEO.
That's fine, I'm not saying, I can't.
I think Ashley's point is really good, because most emergency plans should dovetail into each other, especially in neighbouring authorities. I think
Okay.
Thank you, councillor Wyson.
Mine was just, one of the things I still get a lot in my post bag as a county council, Sheppey, is the illegal tipping that's still going on up at East Church. And it would be really helpful if Slough Borough Council would genie up the Environment Agency to take some further action. They've taken some action, but there's further action is clearly required.
Absolutely.
And it would be helpful if the Borough Council could gee up their colleagues at the Environment Agency.
Thank you, councillor Poynting.
Yeah, sorry, just a quick one. Obviously, fire and share nets, we're watching quite some interest on social media, seems to be seeing the papers. Kent Online was one source of information. You had to go digging into Kent Fire and Rescue's Twitter feed or website. The concern everyone would have had was the South End was copying all the smoke. So, on a selfish level, we got away with that. Sunday afternoon, early evening, you could smell it in Minster. I was just swell weather page quite well. I put it on the Minster Parish Council Facebook page that afternoon, the wind was possibly going to swing to the west, which will report it across Minster's coast as well. So the concern I had was if it had been coming from Sheerness directly across the whole of the island, because it was going well on the way across the south end. I don't know what method of contact Swale Council or Kent County Council or Peel Ports or Kent Fire Rescue have had to communicate with residents immediately to say, shut your windows, shut your doors, don't go outside. Because there would be people that wouldn't have any idea of go outside and it stinks and end up with some kind of medical emergency that would then further increase the issue on the island with emergency services getting on. My mother's got respiratory problems. I was texting her Sunday morning. If you go to Tesco's, don't get too carried away because they go in and test her Sunday morning.
I think so.
It's a big,
Sorry to speak out. I think that's going to be looked into. So if it does happen again,
I think,
what is
as I
it?
said, we were monitoring it because if it had have happened that it turned, then and potentially there could have been an emergency or an incident, then our emergency procedures kick in. So we would have got a call, there would have been a chain of command, it would have come from Kent Fire and Rescue, we would have been alerted, and depending on the severity of the incident, a whole range of things go into motion, which I'm not going to talk about tonight because we don't have time. But if people feel like they want to have a session at some point on what would happen, then by all means we can plan that in a future meeting.
That's a brilliant idea.
Because there are procedures in place, as with any emergency, you know, should it have exploded or, you know, life danger, people displaced. So there's a whole range of procedures that we would as a council, through the office corps, put in place. And now that we know we've got towns and parishes that also have procedures, we would work together, like we did with the water shortage, which is a different but similar example of an emergency. I think we would have called our emergency SMG together.
Thank you, councillor Jones.
Thank you. So back to what councillor Whiten said, perhaps we should write something from the Environment Agency here to update us as well. And if they can't do that in public, then with the members, not just Swale and parishes as well, be handy.
Regarding tipping.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
No, you
wasn't.
Well, councillor Whiten was talking about it.
I think the issue is, and we've said it before, is where there's a multi-agency group still and it is a sensitive, it's the level of information, but I know they do regularly or did regularly attend East Church Parish Council to update, so we can put it to them whether they can resource it.
Thank you. Linda?
With regards to the emergency plan, I have been working on this for some time with Larissa Reid. I did talk to her about having an emergency plan for the island. We are very cut off. If there is any problem with one of the bridges or both of the bridges, we are very isolated. We do need to have an emergency plan for the island, and it needs to have two centres. It needs to have a centre at East Church dealing with that end of the island because it's a prominent place, and we need a centre at Minster dealing with that end of the island because in the case of any sort of evacuation, those are the 2 points that we are going to have to evacuate to. Now, Larissa Reid did contact all of the councils and asked them if they would like meetings, and none of the councils replied. So although we have an emergency plan for Sheppey, it hasn't been finished off because nobody has actually agreed to it being finished off. The basis of it is there because I've been working with the Kent Resilience.
Yeah.
And they've given me the basis of it, and I've gone through it and done a specific plan for Sheppey. But until other people agree to it, it's never going to happen. And really, it does need to be for the whole island.
Thank you. Councillor Shield.
Yes, it would be great to have on what Swale do when we activate an emergency principle. Because when I did last year for the flooding in Castle Miranda, he was so quick on responding. And it was just done instantly. So thank you, Emma, for that. And an island-wide plan, I think, would be too big. I think what parishes and towns need to agree on is appendices within their plans that would meet with an island-wide crisis, because local councillors and town councils and parishes know their areas, know what they're doing. If we could then feed into Sheerness's and Minster if there was an emergency, a major.
Thank you. It's 9:30. I know we always finish very prompt. Councillor Whiting.
Mine's only a quick one. Perhaps we could refer the whole emergency planning issue to the relevant committee at Swale. and have an update from officers about what's in place, how it works, what our role as local members is perhaps in getting the messages out. And what role and how important it is that parishes and towns have their own plans and how they plug into Swales wider plan and where the Kent Resilience Forum and all those fit in. I think just a general briefing on that and a discussion at council level.
So council.
For the borough. Either a briefing or as an agenda item on the relevant
I
committee.
think the issue, because it would be P&R, it's about what decisions being taken. So we need to think about whether it's best to do a briefing for all members, which actually I think would be a good idea.
I
I'm
think it
sure
would.
actually it's already in train because we've got a new process. Because otherwise, if it goes to P&R, it's like, well, what's the decision being made? But if,
No,
again, we can have a look at that.
I think it will be very helpful, then that all members can understand exactly the thing, where the parishes and the towns fit into this as well.
Thank you. Councillor Jones, last question this item.
Thank you. On what Councillor Whiten said, I've taken a note to put that in for a briefing as chair of the members development working group. So we're feeding in with starting together with other members. So I've taken a note and I'll feed that back to Larissa.
Thank you. Final agenda items, Macro Further Service. We've already got about the extra members to go on the Sheppey Survival Project to the regen. That was all. Anything else? Happy? Any other questions?
Can I go home, please, Chair?
You may.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. 21:31. 1 minute. Well done, team.